crisp day here in Colorado, but we're looking forward for temperatures to warm up and the competition to get started here as we get ready for the top Division II conference in the country to get ready for action at the 2020 Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Cross Country Championships. I'm Jared Verner. Thank you so much for joining us here today. It'll be a unique championship experience, if for no other reason, the location is different. This meet was supposed to take place at Colorado School of Mines. In early September, it was moved here to Colorado Springs. The first time this race course will host a championship race like this since 2012 for the RMAC championships then. And we're also going to be missing about 3 teams than we would normally see when in a non-pandemic situation. Regis University and Colorado State University Pueblo both opting not to compete this year. And for New Mexico Highlands University, competing but have decided not to compete at this race due to state of New Mexico guidelines. We're looking forward to a great race here at 9:30, starting with the men's 8-kilometer championship, the women's 6-kilometer championship starting at approximately 10:15. The top 6 teams from both races will compete at the National Cross Country Invitational. No NCAA championship this year because of COVID, but these teams will be competing for a chance to go to the Invitational in 3 weeks at Lubbock, Texas. This is a unique championship experience, the only fall event to take place in the fall for the RMAC this year. The other championships will be moved to the spring. We still have some football games taking place across the conference, and then we're still looking forward to hopefully basketball and winter sports getting kicked off in December. The athletes here have gone through self-screenings already. The men's races have already been completed. The women will turn those forms into the trainers at the start of the men's race. The team boxes will be a little bit different. Everyone here, athletes, coaches, spectators, including myself, wearing face coverings for the duration. Athletes will be wearing a face covering up until the race starts, and then we'll be doing so again as soon as the race is over. Safety, the number one concern here for this championship experience as we get ready here for the start of action here at 9:30 Mountain Time. We're going to take a little bit of a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to the commissioner of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, Chris Graham, to go over what the conference has been doing to make sure this is a safe event. We're also going to be talking about with his experience on the Division II Management Council and any national insight that he can provide. Thank you again for joining us. We're going to be back in a couple minutes. You're watching the pre-race show for the 2020 Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Cross Country Championships. And welcome back here as we get ready for the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Cross Country Championships to begin. Very happy to be joined by Commissioner Chris Graham. He's been in this role for a long time, but you also have a unique experience with the Division II Management Council. But we're going to start locally and just talk about the COVID pandemic overall. You know, it happened quickly in March. There was a lot of things that changed very quickly. And then in the summer, a lot of other things happened as well. Can you kind of walk us through just all the things that you have been working with the athletic directors, the presidents, the chancellors, as well as what you're looking at across the nation?
And first of all, thanks to UCCS for hosting this wonderful event and coming through and stepping up and helping us put on a championship for arguably our best sport in the conference. So as the commissioner of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, I was sitting in Utah when the pandemic was starting to unravel at our men's basketball championship. We had already put some protocols in place. I come back a week later and I watch what's happening around the nation and I listen to the CDC, and we had about 4 straight weeks of calls with our presidents. We had decided to delay our, suspend our spring season, then delay it, and then postpone it, and then the NCAA came through and canceled March Madness, winter championships, and then also spring championships. It was at that point in Division II we had to decide, are those student athletes in the spring and maybe even in the winter going to get their eligibility back? And we determined that the spring athletes should have their eligibility back. We probably had 1 meeting a week for 7 to 8 straight weeks with athletic administrators to determine what our schedules might look like, what our protocols should be. And then at that point in mid-July, the NCAA came through and said, here are the requirements if you're going to play this fall. By that time, or shortly thereafter, almost every single Division II conference shut all their fall sports down. We got our athletic administrators back together, we talked to our presidents, and they decided that as determined by the NCAA, with golf and cross-country being moderate risks, well, golf a low-risk sport, and cross-country a moderate risk sport, that they could continue competing this fall with strict protocols, including testing, masking, social distancing, and ensuring that RMAC protocols, including officials wearing masks and anything else. In golf, we want them wearing masks on the range. Here in cross country, if they're near the starting line and they're not warming up, we'd like them to have a mask on. So we got the cooperation from all of our institutions, our presidents, our coaches, and here we are today.
Awesome, and it's great to be having competition again, just because there hasn't been a whole lot. You know, talk about your role a little bit. You know, it's a president's council. You're looking at not just El Paso County, which is where the conference office is and where I live, but you're looking at multiple states, multiple county restrictions, city restrictions. How has it been to just balance all of that? I mean,
wild.
That has to be amazing, just the coordination involved.
It's been wild. Thankfully, we've got some of the finest administrators and presidents in the country. We all know the virus is controlling us. We're not controlling it. So all we can do is all we can do. And that literally means making a decision 1 week and possibly going 180 degrees the next week. And as I said before, a lot of that is, or as you were alluding to, a lot of that is predicated on what is happening locally. So we've got South Dakota and Nebraska that weren't hit right away. And their leadership in government and state government was saying, let's keep moving on. Not much is changing. Where in New Mexico, that's probably one of the more strict and stringent protocols and health and safety matters in the country. Colorado's probably been somewhere in the middle. We've got one school in Utah. We just in the office have to stay on top of it. So when we're having those weekly meetings with athletic administrators, literally the first thing we do is say, okay, let's go down the roll call here. What changes do you have? What's the local health department been telling you? Has the state made any mandates? How's that going to affect our student athletes? All you can do in these times, and everyone in leadership would know this, communicate, and more communication.
We've talked a little bit how cross-country is under very strict protocols when it comes to COVID. Can you go into a little bit more detail on what these athletes have been experiencing, especially coming into the championships for this Saturday?
The NCAA is requiring surveillance testing, so that's every other weekend. You're looking at anywhere from 25 to 50% of your student athletes that need to be surveillance tested to ensure that there's no outbreak on the team. I can tell you, and I'm proud to say, I believe almost every one of our institutions has gone beyond that, almost to 100% testing, and almost doing it every week. The reason they're doing that is these athletes here, these cross-country athletes, are also finding themselves in the weight room, and they're finding themselves in the athletic training room. That's where every other athlete who might be working out in the off-season is finding themselves too. So the campuses, I think, are really concerned, as are athletic administrators, of an outbreak within a certain segment of the campus. So the athletic departments have been very stringent. So that's one protocol, is the consistent testing. If there's positive tests, which unfortunately we had a couple of athletes that had to sit out today because they had positive tests, we require contact tracing, which the CDC requires. So if there are any positive cases within cross-country, you have to do contact tracing amongst the whole team, and it's only the local health department that tells you whether or not the rest of those athletes are cleared to compete. So I'm pleased to say that here today, anyone that had any inkling of a virus around their program in the last week got cleared by their healthcare administrators on campus and within the county. And then finally, when they travel, we are asking them to do symptom checking every single day. Temperature, do you have a headache? Everyone nowadays is aware of all the symptom checking. But the athletic trainers and the coaches have to do temperature checks and symptom checks. And then finally, masking wherever you are until you get yourself into a high cardiovascular situation for warm-ups and competition.
And that's great to know, just all the procedures, the processes. I mean, this is a very intentional, this is a privilege, as you kind of told the coaches earlier. This is something that no other fall athlete in the conference is able to do, to actually compete for an RMAC championship, at least right now in a as normal of an experience as possible. I'm going to switch a little bit to national. I alluded to a little bit, you're a chair of the Division II Management Council. So you have a very national level experience. You have been probably, I'm going to assume, probably involved in a lot of the at least looking at what the early drafts and medical procedures are for the return to play. Can you give any insight in just what that experience was like and what it was, being able to be in part of those conversations? A lot of people, I think, look at Division I and just make assumptions based on that, but there's Division II, there is Division III, there's conference decisions that come into play. Just what it was like to be at that level and just kind of see a much broader scope than just the 5 states that we're looking at here today.
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's pretty awe-inspiring. First and foremost, I can tell you, while the majority on the NCAA Board of Governors, I'm also a representative on that group, which makes the major decisions like canceling March Madness and canceling championships and mandating the resocialization principles for testing and what tier sports and risk there might be. There is a voice for Division II and Division III. It may be a smaller one than there is for Division I, but there are voices. And I can tell you, when I was able to use my voice, I expressed the complete support of the association and the governance structure and the COVID-19 task force at the NCAA that made all the recommendations about testing and masking and social distancing and officiating. But I had to share consistently, which everyone knew, but I was still going to reiterate it, the mental health concerns that we have for our student athletes. We've got some schools where 20-25% of their student population is student athletes. And their identity, since they've been 5 or 6 years old, starting club, or in this case, running long distances, has been, I'm assuming for a majority of them, I'm an athlete first. And that's how they identify themselves. And when you take that away and you strip it from them, you get some significant issues with mental health. So we've been trying to support that at the national level. So as I sit in those meetings, to your question about having the privilege of being a part of that national group, we're really talking about welfare. And then it goes beyond that, because the Board of Governors looked at really community and national welfare. We really don't have a national testing protocol. We really don't have support nationally for to receive the tests and to make them more accessible. So we had to take care of all that ourselves. And it was at that point that the NCAA said, you know what, we're not going to be a part of spreading this virus and creating more problem. And that's why March Madness was shut down right away. We were able to put the protocols in place. It's all science, Jared. It's all doctors and physicians. And sometimes that doesn't seem like it's common sense then. We know that. Everyone has the issue between science and common sense and liberties. But what it comes down to for us is the student athletes have always come first, and we're not going to put them in harm's way, even if data and statistics might tell us that they're not in a high-risk category.
And that's good to know. I think we make assumptions, and it's if it goes without saying, it's worth saying. I had an athletic director. We both know Dr. Bob Werchter. We were talking about him beforehand, and that was one of his favorite sayings. In terms of logistics, you kind of mentioned that as we're going into fall, a lot of conferences were already making the decisions on their own. And that kind of, there was a discussion about, if there's 50% of the schools that aren't competing, then there's not a national championship. So we know what looked out for fall. What does winter look like? I know a lot of conferences said we're not going to start until January 1. How is just the logistics of trying to coordinate a national championship when there's 24, 25 Division II conferences, or 26 that you have to work with as well?
Well, first of all, at the conference or national level, there's no template, model, or algorithm that we know to follow to tell us that we're making the right decision. We've got a lot of smart people in this league and nationally saying, you know what, here's what seems fair. And here's what we think we can do with testing, with keeping our student athletes safe, with having so many athletes coming in and out of our training room and of the weight room. So the winter sports moving forward, as we look at those, since this is the only championship we're having in the fall, obviously we're going indoors with all of them. Indoor track, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's swimming and diving and wrestling. That's going to be difficult. Indoors, as everyone knows now in the pandemic, is higher risk. So we're still deferring to each local community to say whether or not fans can be in the stands. But we have agreed, presidents on down, if a team coming into a community or a school is not comfortable with the protocols they're using, they can choose not to play, and we're not going to penalize them. So what does that mean for conducting a championship? Well, it's going to be a little tricky. You might have already seen that New Mexico Highlands decided they're not going to play this fall, and they can't because of testing issues. We are going to try to play some basketball here in late November and all December. We've already had a couple of swimming duels. We got a few wrestling teams that want to get together. Indoor track championship is still on as of now. We got one or two teams that said they didn't want to compete, and that's fine. They're allowed to opt out. But we're literally, for championships and competition, working all the way up to the 11th hour sometimes to figure out whether or not it's going to happen. So we just have to have contingency plans in place for this upcoming winter.
And quickly, we got about a minute before we start the pregame finale or the pre-race festivities with sportsmanship. I want to ask you, non-COVID, we talked a lot about COVID, and the Division II Management Council, what are some other issues that when we get back to normal that you're looking to accomplish?
Oh, there's a lot. There's quite a few of them. The NCAA is everyone's favorite punching bag, so there's a lot of lawsuits. So we're going through the name, image, and likeness issue right now. And this January, I expect a sweeping package. It's going to be precedent-setting and history-setting, historical. We're going to allow student athletes in Division I, II, and III to use their name, image, and likeness for themselves and to actually profit off of it. It's going to be kind of a crazy world until we figure out what it looks like after we implement it. But I'm pleased to say that is going to happen, and we're just going to have to monitor that for the next couple of years. Plenty of other things, but I know we got to get going to a big race here.
Exactly. We're getting ready to start here. Commissioner Graham, thank you so much for taking the time. It's great to just pick your brain and see what's going on.
Yeah.
We're going to come back. We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, RMAC Sportsmanship Statement, National Anthem, and then the start of the men's 8-kilometer championship race. And welcome back to Monument Valley Park. We're just minutes away from the start of the men's 8-kilometer championship race. RMAC sportsmanship statement being read now, but then as we start to get ready, we will be taking the national anthem here. It'll be Mark Israel of the UCCS Athletic Band who will be playing the national anthem on the trumpet as we get ready here. We will pause for the national anthem. The national anthem here at Monument Valley Park. Mark Israel right there with the UCCS Athletic Band on the trumpet and the solo. That means we're only just a few minutes away. We've got 9:24 on the track right now, and let's go and get started. So what we can expect here in the men's 8-kilometer championship race, we have 12 teams completing, as Commissioner Graham mentioned. New Mexico Highlands opting not to compete earlier this week. CSU Pueblo and Regis not competing at all for this fall season. So we have a national rankings that has been coordinated not by the USTFCCCA as we typically have, but we have a national championship, our national ranking. In that ranking, we have the top 3 teams in the nation. Top ranked Colorado School of Mines, the defending RMAC champion. Second ranked Western Colorado University, and third ranked Adams State University. We have 5 of the top 10 teams in the nation in this championship race. Number 7, Colorado Christian, and number 9, UCCS. As we get ready for the 12 starting boxes, they will be a little bit different. Very, very tight starting boxes, 6 feet distance in between each box. And so there's probably only space for about 2 runners shoulder to shoulder in that starting box this year. Colorado School of Mines, as we mentioned, the defending conference champion in this event, have won 2 of the last 3 championships, 2017 and 2019, with Adams State in between right there. All conference standings, all conference first and second team will still remain the same. First through 14th will be first team all RMAC. 15th through 28th will be second team all RMAC. We are excited to try to bring you as much coverage of this race as we can. We have volunteers on the course who will be bringing in cameras as much as we can. We have about 3/4 of the course covered in some way, shape, or form. There's one camera we have right now. We're going to do the best we can. Obviously, not quite the same quality cameras as we have. We have people with their phones being able to pull in video as much as we can between the 2 races. This is about a, for lack of better terms, an up and back course. It's a 2-kilometer loop between the upper and lower loop for the 8 and 6K kilometer races. And as we get ready here, starting to clear out the start shoot area, and about 4 minutes left before we get this men's race started. We are expecting to get team standings at the 2K marks as they cross the start finish area for each lap. We'll bring those to you as much as we can, along with any updated standings. As we see Western Colorado right now, the second-ranked team in the nation, huddling up, and head coach Jen Michael right there in her mask. Western Colorado, 13-time conference champions. Last won the RMAC championship, 2013. As we see athletes warming up here at Monument Valley Park, 6,000 foot of elevation, one of 7 conference championships in Division II. This year, top 6 teams in this race will receive an invitation to the Division II National Invitation in Lubbock, Texas. There will not be any, for lack of better terms, alternate teams. So the top 6 teams will qualify. If for some reason one of those 6 teams cannot compete, there will not be anyone else competing in their stead. For example, a 7th place team will not go if one of the top 6 teams cannot go. As you see athletes strutting out here, as we're getting ready for the last few minutes before this race begins. As you see, face coverings being required for everyone except for the athletes who are getting ready to compete. And a good crowd here in Monument Valley Park. Chilly temperatures to start off with, but we're expecting temperatures to get up into the 50s by the time we get to the award ceremony at about 11:15 Mountain Time. Clear skies here, beautiful Chamber of Commerce day here in downtown Colorado Springs for the 2020 RMAC Cross Country Championships. 12 of the 15 teams in the conference once again scheduled to compete here today. Not competing Regis, CSU Pueblo, and New Mexico Highlands. Teams starting to make their way to the starting area. The starting boxes, starting in number 1 will be Fort Lewis, in the second box UCCS, third box Mesa, fourth box Adams, Fifth State Westminster, Chadron in the middle at the number 6 box, along with Colorado Christian in the number 7 box, MSU Denver in the 8th, Western Colorado in the 9th box, Black Hills State in the 10th, South Dakota Mines in the 11th, and Colorado School of Mines in the 12th. As we have at least 9:29 on my watch, as Rich Sorenstein, the starter, will be pulling athletes in as we get ready to start. There's a stylish start line right there. Some great competition here expected, as always, at the RMAC Cross Country Championships. Winner of this championship, almost always a favorite to win the national championship. Obviously, no official NCAA championship this year. As Colorado School of Mines, last year's RMAC champion, went on to win the NCAA championship. Also a 2015 national champion as well. As Rich Sorenstein getting ready to get this race under his way, giving final instructions to the teams here at Monument Valley Park. And just minutes away from the start of the men's championship race. The only fall championship in the conference this season. Other sports moved to the spring in response to COVID-19 pandemic procedures. All these athletes have gone through screenings, as you mentioned from Commissioner Grant, additional testing coming into this week. Looks like we have the entire start line in our view. You see Mines, Colorado School of Mines on the far left side, going all the way to Fort Lewis on the far right side. Rich Sorenstein, the starter, working his way down the field in the starting chute. We're going to keep as much as we can on screen for you. And we're off here in the 2020 Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Men's Cross Country Championship Race. So the way that we have these cameras set up, we have it prioritized. So we're going to have the last half, or the last 3/4 of the race, or of each lap, on screen for you. So we're going to have a little bit of a gap here from the start line to about halfway up the northbound side of this track. So as soon as we get coverage as you see right there, our initial camera that we expect to see. As we see athletes, that's on the southbound trail, heading north to start cheering on their teammates. So that will be the final shot that we will see before they come into the start-finish area. This is a very spectator-friendly course, not a ton of hills, but there is one legitimate hill at the start of the second lap, or of the upper lap, as we see teams and athletes. And we're going to try to keep it as much on the course as we can. Again, about 3/4 of the course covered, so we should be expecting to see athletes starting to come in to our first camera view at any moment. Just past 90 seconds here at the start of the men's 8-kilometer race, as we wait for the first athletes to get into view here at Monument Valley Park. Using the platform of Microsoft Teams to try to pull in these remote cameras as much as we can, just past the 2-minute mark here, as we wait for the first athletes to come into view, as we see them go through right now. Did not see who the first group of athletes are, but we should get quite a few athletes here, and at least get some coverage as we continue here at Monument Valley Park. And as always, cross country, not the easiest of sports to cover. We're going to hopefully get as much coverage as we can, as we will try to get you coverage and updates as we can. Again, we're expecting to get team scores and splits at every 2-kilometer mark, so at least have something to show you there in terms of actual data. But as we try to get the cameras coming in from the field, we'll do our best. Again, we got athletes going there. That's still on the northbound track. Plenty of dust getting kicked up right now, as we will try to get to see who is in the lead right now. Again, we've got the top 3 teams in the nation right now: Colorado School of Mines, Western Colorado, and Adams State. As we see a shot, I will be coming in at about the 2-kilometer mark with that camera right there. This course right up against Monument Valley Creek in Colorado Springs, just under Pikes Peak here in Olympic City, USA. So we'll see what we can do in terms of cameras from the course, and try to pull them in as best as we can. Want to thank our television crew here for taking the shot here and trying to broadcast this race from downtown Colorado Springs.
One of the 5 performers here in NCAA Division II cross country out on the course, Taylor Stack, finished 3rd at last year's NCAA championship, and he was the RMAC runner-up in this meet last year. Charlie Sweeney, his teammate, 11th at the 2019.
So we're expecting to hopefully get our first shot of athletes coming through. Oh, and then we're coming down, so we've already made the first K loop. Let's see if we can get an idea of who's in the lead. It looks like we got lots of ore diggers in the front right there. Adams in there. So we got the first pack of runners coming through right now. That is so we're past the 1-kilometer mark here, 4.5 minutes here at Monument Valley Park, as they start coming their way back towards the start-finish area. Again, we're expecting to have results here as we can see these athletes coming down back to the start area. As we continue to see, we got Black Hills coming into the end a little bit as this team's starting to stretch out. You can see on the right side, that's the lower loop, northbound part of this course here at Monument Valley Park. Should start seeing, so we have athletes starting to come right down, passing 2K mark and back into the start-finish area here, where we should get a really good shot of who is in the lead and which teams are right now in contention for the RMAC championship.
And here they are back in your field division, run along that crushed path on the river. Looks like the man from School of Mines on the point. That's hard for me to see at this range.
So it looks like we got Colorado School of Mines and Western Colorado. We can't see, we got, looks like 2 runners from each school in the top 4 runners. And as we come through the first 2K split, it's going to be Colorado School of Mines. Looks like taking the top, if not, looks like the top 2 spots. Western Colorado competing there. So as we come through, right now currently leading for the Ore Diggers, it looks like that is Dylan Clough, last year's individual champion in the RMAC, trying to repeat again, as it is right now 3 Ore Diggers and 2 Mountaineers in the top 5, Ore Diggers in 6th as we continue to go through here in the conference championship. Ore Diggers in good position to win their 2nd straight conference championship. Western Colorado, though, the 2nd-ranked team in the nation, doing their best to compete for that as well. As we said, we are expecting to see 2K splits here coming in from Heartland Timing, the official timing partner for the RMAC championships this year. We're also expecting to get some early conference standings. Again, going through that first 2K split, it would look like it was 3 Ore Diggers and 2 Mountaineers in the race. We'll now be moving to the upper 2K loop. These athletes will be going between the lower and upper loops as they continue to go through. The second loop starts with the biggest hill of the race. They'll have to go up that hill twice as they go back up into the second loop. So through the 2-kilometer split, we're going to see what we can get in terms of results coming through, as it looks like almost all the athletes except for one have been able to make it across the 2K timing pads here at Monument Valley Park. So the biggest gap we have in coverage is between the start line and about 2/3 up, about 600, 700 meters going northbound. After that, we have quite a bit of cameras coming back southbound. We're trying to take them as we can. Again, a lot of people, volunteers, which are greatly appreciative for, who are trying to make that happen for us. Again, we're awaiting the 2K splits. As soon as we can get them, we're going to pass them along to you. Just coming up to the 8-minute mark here in the RMAC championships. 1 lap down, 3 laps to go here in Colorado Springs. Awaiting early results. We're expecting to see it probably 1-2 Colorado Mines, Western Colorado, matching the conference or matching the national rankings coming into today. As we the first look here, it looked like those Ore Diggers up front. Adams State, a couple runners right there. We don't know exactly who's in the lead, but that's our first look here at the first shot that we have here right north of what's called Boatington Park, a little soccer field, a part of the Monument Valley Park complex here in Colorado Springs. Still waiting the initial splits and team standings from Heartland Timing. See what we can get for you there as we see the first athletes coming through. Bear with us. We know that the quality isn't great, but we're working off of cell phone technology and a little bit of a valley here in Colorado Springs, as we are working here to get you as much coverage here for the conference championship as we can. This is about the 600. That was about the 600 laps up, or 600 meters up on the 1K up loop, coming back down on the backside going southbound here in Colorado Springs. Still waiting to see if we can get official splits here. And tentative team standings right now in the conference championship. That is coming into the curve at the north end of the complex, as they will start to come going southbound once again. So the leaders through the 3K mark already. We can pretty much guarantee that to just past the 10-minute mark here at the start-finish line.
And for those who are curious, we are just over 10 minutes here into this race, so you should expect to see those gentlemen back in front of you on that crust path in less than 2 minutes here. We'll see, they came through running about 3 minutes per kilometer. I
Once again, still waiting on the team standings to come through to see if we have them. We're through the 3K mark here in the RMAC championships. As we see athletes coming down, it looks like, again, ore diggers, a ton of ore diggers. Looks like almost all the ore diggers right there in that lead pack. They're making a very strong case for another championship here. Their second straight, third in 4 years. And the defending NCAA Division II champions. As we saw going through the 2K split, it was Dylan Coe in position to win his second straight individual championship. As we expect to see runners come back in the start-finish area probably momentarily. Just based on where they are, that is about a quarter of the way back down on the southbound side. As we see that lead pack, so they're about to get into the start-finish area once again. We're going to see what we can get. Looks like, again, a ton of ore diggers with a few mountaineers sprinkled in right there. And we have them coming back into the start-finish area right now. We're going to get a really good shot of who's in the lead halfway through this men's 8-kilometer race. And as we see, it looks like it is Kyle Moran leading the way for the ore diggers. 2 ore diggers, and looks like a mountaineer in that top 3 pack right now. As they start coming around here and making the bend up to the 4K split. As it looks like that's still Kyle Moran, last year's RMAC Freshman of the Year. 4th at the Division II Championships a year ago. We'll see if he's still coming through as he comes through the start-finish area right now. That pad right there, the 4K split, it is Moran and looks like Moran and Coe in the lead, with Western Colorado in 2nd and 4th. But counting real quick, looks like 4 or 5 ore diggers in that top pack. And as we see right there, once again, as they come through, that is Moran and Coe in lead for Colorado School of Mines. Both of them top 10 of the national championships last year. As we see additional runners start to cycle through. So back on the lower loop right now, these athletes will be going past what was originally a waterfall, something that General Palmer, when he founded Colorado Springs, architected into the design of this park more than 100 years ago. Waterfall has since gone dry, but very scenic, a great place for cross-country action right there. We're going to be waiting. Again, we got about 500 meters where we don't have any course cameras. We're going to do the best we can to give you updates as much as we can. We still don't have splits. We are halfway through this race, roughly 4,400 meters into this men's 8-kilometer race. So less than 2 laps to go, again on the lower lap of competition right now. Just past 14 minutes here in the men's 8-kilometer championship race.
Looks like it's Colorado School of Mines. I know we've got a battle brewing here for that second position between Western Colorado and Adams State. Again, one man from
And we got our first shot there of athletes coming northbound. We're going to see if we can see who it is. It looks like it's still ore diggers in the lead.
final half of this race, and we'll know more when they hit that 6K split after they come back around.
As competition continues here. So back here to start-finish line, about all the athletes have completed and gone through the 4K split, as we're looking forward to getting video from the north end of the field. And just past 15 and a half minutes here at the start finish line. Athletes, when they come back around, will be at the 6 of 8 kilometers completed. So as we continue to work here at Monument Valley Park, just past 16-minute mark, as we continue to pull in video from the north end of the track. And right now, athletes still making their way going northbound. Vinyl athlete going through the 6K split. As we're going to see what we can get from the leaders and confirm. They never just went to leaders past that camera. So we should see another one coming down as they continue to go down, but definitely past the 7K or the 5K mark here in this championship race. As we continue to see athletes in this lead group continue to make their way down, you see a bunch of Adams with their bright green shorts as they continue to make their way down back to the start finish area. Last time on the lower loop for these teams as we continue to see them coming down. And looks like we see the second group of leaders right there coming through. We're still trying to see as the first group of ladders coming back into the start finish area. And as we can see, it looks like it is 3 ore diggers, 2 mountaineers, and a grizzly here in this lead pack of runners. And so we've got a lead group of 6, 3 ore diggers, 2 mountaineers, and a grizzly coming across the 6K split here at Monument Valley Park. Unfortunately, we don't have anything in terms of team standings right now. We apologize for that, as it looks like coming across it'll be Colorado School of Mines and Adams State in the 1-2 spot. And double check, and looks like that is Moran and Stack for the ore diggers and mountaineers in the 1-2 spot. Right now, 3 of the top 5 ore diggers right there. Ore diggers also looks like all 5 runners in the top 9 positions for Colorado School of Mines as we see them coming through past for this last lap. For Adams State, looks like that is either Isaiah Rodarte or Ahmed Saudo. And a quick look at bib numbers. Rodarte, 54th at the National Championships a year ago. Here as we are in the last lap here at the men's 8-kilometer championship here at Monument Valley Park. So 1 lap left to go. The upper loop here at Monument Valley Park, the 2K's lap. As you see right there, David Jet Reynolds for Adams State leading this pack of runners here in the start finish area. Colorado School of Mines looks like all 5 of their runners or their 5 top scoring runners were in the top 9, so they're looking to win their second national championship or their second conference championship. Western Colorado, 2 runners in the top 6. As we continue to move through, but right now it looks like 1-2 Mines and Western competing here for the RMAC championship. As you see all the athletes starting to work their way through. A lot of changes to the lineups for a lot of these teams depending on COVID protocols and those kinds of things, as Chris mentioned, as Commissioner Graham mentioned. A few cases on the teams this week, but those were mitigated and controlled to the point where local health departments at each of these schools cleared these teams to compete. as we continue to work through. Again, we have about a 500, 600 meter gap in coverage as we expect to see them coming through on the northbound side. Definitely a lot of activity starting to develop here in the start-finish area as teams start to, as spectators start to make their way and see what we can have here for the finish area. Just past 21 minutes here as we see the first runners coming through. It looks like it's Orediggers taking the top 3, 4 spots potentially. If these are indeed the leading athletes. Again, still working on trying to get as much coverage as we can from the course. Relying on cell phones in order to pull it off. So we're trying to get what we can as much as we can. We hope to have results to you as quickly as we can. Still nothing from the official timing company for the RMAC. As we see athletes continue to make their way northbound. Here at Monument Valley Park, definitely a much more shaded area going northbound. And we see the first run, oh, that's well, not the first runner, that was the hard rocker from South Dakota School of Mines. So they are past the halfway point of the up northbound lap. Probably comfortably can safely say the leaders are probably at the 7K mark. So 1 kilometer left to go for the leaders here in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Championships. As we hope to get some shots of the teams coming back southbound along Monument Valley Creek here in Colorado Springs. So we'll do our best to get at least some rough team scores for you as we continue to move through. Nothing official from the standings. Women's 6 kilometer race scheduled to start at 10:15 a.m. So we'll do our best to get you additional shots, as looks like we got the lead group coming right down the southbound side. So we got the leader coming down. Looks like just based on colors, it's Orediggers and Adams. So Orediggers taking 2 of the top 3. From Adams, we have to assume that's it's Isaiah Rodarte in the number 2 spot. So we've got, based on the last result, it was Moran and Rodarte. We're going to get real good shots here. That is Dylan Coe coming in for the lead. With Rodarte in second, looks like that would be Moran in third. So it looks like Coe looking to compete his second individual conference championship with about a 10 to 15 meter lead here as we come into the final turn and coming down to the start finish area here at Monument Valley Park. Final turn right now as we come into the start finish area. Meters left to go for our leaders. We're going to see who that is for sure. That I believe that is Coe. That is Dylan Coe. Dylan Coe winning his second conference championship for the Orediggers. That was Isaiah Rodarte, followed by Kyle Moran in third. So Orediggers take first, third, and fourth. That is Chris Cathcart. That is Western Colorado Orediggers with the number 5 team spot, if I'm keeping track of correctly. Western State, their second runner in. Orediggers, that'll be their 5th scoring runner. They win their conference championship, 2nd straight one for the Orediggers. As we do our best to try to keep as much as we can. So we do have, with the early results here at the start-finish line, Dylan Coe, his 2nd straight individual conference championship as RMAC winner of the year. Isaiah Rodarte in second for the Grizzlies. And Kyle Moran in the number 3 spot for the Orediggers. Chris Cathcart in number 4 as the runners keep coming in. We'll do our best to keep the team scores as much as we can as athletes start filing in. Looks like first Mesa runner, 2 Mesa runners just coming in.
Hey, go, Steven!
As runners continue to come in, we see the last athletes coming through down on the southbound side, as we'll get you team results, but we look like we should have RMAC champion on the team side, Colorado School of Mines. As we can see, runners crossing the finish line here at Monument Valley Park, completing an 8-kilometer race, women's 6K race. We'll get started here in about 17 minutes. Or do our best. You can see initial time scrolling there in the background as athletes are finishing here. Just past the 26:26 here on the clock. As we try to get your team scores as quickly as we can. But confidence say Colorado School of Mines win their 2nd straight conference championship behind the individual winning performance of Dylan Code, the junior for the Ore Diggers. So as you can see there, you saw the first pack of leaders right there, the first 7 or 8. And we are cycling back through the leaders right now on the board. And we expect to have team results as quickly as possible, as we still have runners competing and crossing the finish line here at Monument Valley Park. "27 minutes, and you can see the seconds tick there on the other side of the finish line board. So as you can see, Code 24:18 Rodarte in second. As we cycle back through the leaders there on the leaderboard behind the start finish line. As we continue to see runners cross here, we'll get you at least preliminary results. There's a protest period built into the back end of this championship race, so the results will be considered unofficial. But it looks like Chris Seamers and the Ore Diggers picking up their 2nd straight conference championship, 3rd the last 4 years. Last year's national champions. As we continue to still see runners come through. In cross country, as most of us know, but if you're new to the sport, lowest score wins. So top 5 runners will come through. Those will be the scoring positions, as opposed to track and field where it's all about time and or throw or jump. In cross country, it's all about your placing. And so you have your five scoring runners. Next 2 are called displacers. And then anyone after that is not considered part of the team scoring. The teams are allowed to have up to 9 athletes compete at this championship event here today. As we wait for additional scores and standings to come through from Heartland Timing, as we approach the half-hour mark here in the men's 8-kilometer race. 12 teams in action to here. The same 12 schools will have women's teams compete here in just a few minutes. And the 6-kilometer version, lower two laps on the lower loop and 1 lap on the upper loop here at 6,000 feet of elevation. We'll try to get a good eye on the team scores as quickly as we can. Pretty confident on number 1. And then a good eye on number 2 as you see Cobra, Darte, Moran, Cathcart, Sweeney from Western Colorado in the number 5 spot for the Mountaineers. Top runner for them as we saw it quickly scroll through. Waiting for runners to complete this 8K race. You can see several Mines athletes right there. Like we said, strict COVID precautions. Unless an athlete just got done racing, everyone else, including myself, expecting to wear face coverings during the duration of this championship event. As we still wait for the last runners to come through here at Monument Valley Park. And we'll see what we can get for standings as quickly as we can. We expect them on that board to come through once again. So you see Sampori and then Stack. And so looking as quickly as we can for initial results. Mines in the 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 6th positions. And their top 4 runners. Top Adams State runner and 2nd top Western Colorado runner was in 7th. As we continue to see if we get initial results coming through right now. I believe we're still waiting on 1 runner to complete the race. And we see them coming through right now. So we should have 1 runner left on the course. And then hopefully we'll have at least unofficial results for everybody as soon as we can. The finish chute area right there, for the most part cleared of athletes as expected, as we have our final runner coming through to wrap up this men's 8-kilometer race. And a good finish. And so we'll see if we can get men's results as quickly as we can before we get set up for the women's race, which is expected to get started here in about 10 minutes. As we start to make that shift to the next race of the day, the women's 6-kilometer championship. We're going to try to wrap up the men's race as much as we can, though, as we continue to see what we can make happen here in terms of official standings here at the RMAC Championships. But we'll see what we can make happen. We'll wait for the scores, the times as that go through once again. There might be 1 more athlete on the course just because we have not yet seen the trail vehicle come through yet. And as you see there, the start-finish area, Adams State right there doing their strides. And it looks like coming back down right there is MSU Denver. So we'll continue to refresh as quickly as I can to try to get you updated team standings as much as we can. Pretty confident to say Colorado School of Mines picking up their championship. Championship number 3 in program history. And actually sets us up well for the women's race, as the top-ranked team on the women's side, Colorado School of Mines, will be looking for their first championship if they can make that happen in the national standings. Still waiting for team results to pop through on the men's side. And I believe we're still waiting for one athlete to come through just because we have yet to see the trail vehicle make its way through. They say here, a good crowd of spectators here at Monument Valley Park. One of 7 Division II conferences able to put together a championship season for cross country, considered, as you heard Commissioner Graham say, a moderate risk sport by the NCAA. Swimming competition already underway for the winter season, as past the 36-minute mark here. But 7 minutes to go here before the women's 6K race begins, as we are awaiting final results to be posted. I believe we still might have one more runner left on the course, and so looking to get that in as much as we can before the women's race gets started at 10:15 a.m. Hopefully we can talk to Chris Seamers during the protest period, of head coach for the Colorado School of Mines. He's looking to pick up his second team championship of the day, though, with the women's team coming in as the top-ranked team in the nation, looking to end a streak of 8 straight conference championships for Adams State on the women's side. And so women's team's getting ready to move into their starting blocks. We'll get you the start of the women's race as quickly as we can, and hopefully in the process get you the men's results at the same time. As a little bit of a lull in action as we await time results to be posted. Let's go ahead and get you at least set up a little bit for the start of the women's 6-kilometer championship. The top 3 teams in the coaches poll, or the coaches ranking, currently in this race. Number 1, Colorado School of Mines. Number 2, Adams State. Number 3, Western Colorado. Also half of the top 8 teams in this race, with UCCS ranked at 8th. As in the men's race, the top 6 teams in the RMAC will receive an invite to the Division II National Race in Lubbock, Texas in 3 weeks. Just like on the men's side, Regis, CSU Pueblo, and New Mexico Highlands not competing in this race here today. First team All-RMAC, 1st through 14th, second team All-RMAC, 15th through 28th. As we mentioned, Adams State, 8 straight conference championships in this event. That streak starting right here at Monument Valley Park in 2012. 31 total championships for Adams State. Western Colorado was 7. Those are the only 2 teams to ever win the RMAC championship on the women's side. But Colorado School of Mines looking to play spoiler right now, the top-ranked team in the nation. 5 of the 7 first-place votes have gone to the Ore Diggers this season, coming into this race. As teams get ready to go into their starting areas. As we mentioned, the men's race, and you got a good start of the start line right there. Very narrow starting boxes, 6-foot distance between each of those teams, which means the starting boxes really only about good for 2, maybe 3 people standing shoulder to shoulder. Going from the right to the left will be Black Hills State, Colorado School of Mines, Chadron State, Colorado Mesa, MSU Denver, in the number 5 box. In the 6th spot in the middle, Western Colorado. Right next to them in the number 7 box is Adams State. In the number 8 box, UCCS. 9th box, Westminster. In the 10th box, South Dakota School of Mines. 11th, Colorado Christian. On the far left side, if we might be able to see them, I don't know if we can, is Fort Lewis. We have team standings to report right now. Colorado School of Mines with a team score of 22 points. The RMAC champions. Western Colorado with 60 points. The runner-up and 3rd, Colorado Christian University, 89 points. 4th, Adams State with 95 points. Those are your top 4 teams. Mesa in 5th with 131 points. And 6th, UCCS, competing without their top 2 runners in Afi Ziru and Evan Graff. They will make it to the national invite. in 6th place at 151. Those are your top 6 teams in the men's 8K championship results. We're going to get the women's race started, go back and look more closely at the men's results at the same time. But 22 points, Colorado School of Mines, the RMAC champions for 2020 on the men's side. Western Colorado in second, Colorado School of Mines repeating as RMAC champions. We're at 10:13 local time here in Monument Valley Park, just Pikes Peak. Off to the right, you can see the Rampart Range there in the background. A little bit of haze, but otherwise not too much smoke from the wildfires in northern Colorado. But a beautiful day here in Colorado Springs, as temperatures have warmed up quite nicely. This is about the one good day and about 5 good days. Yesterday, absolutely miserable, and we're expecting potentially anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow here starting Sunday night. As Rich Sorensen, the starter, getting his final clearance to get started here in the 6-kilometer race. Top ranked in the nation, Colorado Mines. Second from the right in your picture there. Adams State and Western Colorado, second and third in the country right now in the 6 and 7 spots. And so you can see Adams State in the neon shorts, and then right to their right is Western Colorado in their crimson and slate. Starter giving final instructions to these teams: 3 laps on this 2-kilometer course, 2 on the lower lap, 2 on the lower loop, 1 on the upper loop. We're hopefully to get video from the field as much as we can. As soon as we get started here, we got about a 500 or 600 meter gap in coverage. Right there, you see the final camera before they come into the start-finish area. Flag is up. As part of his final instructions to the athletes, as we get ready here for the women's 6-kilometer championship race. Colorado School of Mines, as we mentioned, looking to win their first conference championship on the women's side. Adams State trying to win their 9th straight, 32nd overall. And we are off here in the 6-kilometer championship race for the women's cross country. And you see Pikes Peak there in the background. As these athletes off to a quick start, we're looking forward to seeing what they do as we get about 500 or 600 meters into this race. Based on how the cameras are set up, we have coverage on roughly 3/4 of the race course. We'll see if we can get the leaders as they come through each of those cameras. As we go back, we're going to get you the final results on the men's side, unofficial team standings pending a protest. Colorado School of Mines, men's champion with 22 points, with 3 of the top 4 athletes there. As you see, athletes starting to head north on the creek side of this. On the men's side, in second with 60 points. Colorado Christian in third with 89 points. Fourth, Adams State with 95 points, led by Isaiah Rodarte in the runner-up position. As we start to see athletes and spectators start to head north on the west side of this course. Athletes going up the middle of the 3 race areas of this course, heading northbound in the middle. Each of the laps includes this southbound shot as they come through. As we see here, the race map right now. So you see in the purple, that is the start area right there. The red loop, or the red, is where the women are going up right now. Each lap comes back down on the purple side on the west side of this course. And then the blue on the far right side, that is your upper loop, or the second lap for these women here. The women will go on the red part of the upper part on both sides on their first and third laps here. As we're looking forward, looks like the first runners coming through right now. We see that lead cyclist coming through. Not sure if we'll be able to pull out numbers, but we might be able to get a good shot on which teams are in the front, just based on colors. And so looks like still a mix. Everyone's still in that group. You see on the left side, Adams State, just that bright neon, hard to miss. As right now, roughly, I'd say that 600, 700 meter split. We're definitely getting better at this, everybody, as we see the runners coming through again. This is the last shot before they make that 1K loop. It looks like that's Amanda Dorian. I'm not 100% sure. Again, just hard to see with the cameras that we're using, just cell phones, nothing fancy up there. Trying to get at least some coverage as much as we can. Cross country, not exactly the easiest of sports to get remote coverage for, using the Microsoft Teams platform to try to pull in as many camera angles as we can, as we believe that the runners should be at past the 1K mark right now, as they will start to come through. This will be our next shot, I believe the next shot as they come back down on the west side of the course. Right now, it looks like pretty much all the athletes staying in that big pack haven't spread out a whole lot right now, as we go past the 3.5 minute mark here in lap number 1. "12 teams in action here today at Monument Valley Park. As we mentioned at the end of the men's race, lowest score wins. As these athletes, these teams will be competing for a chance to reach the Division II Invitational in Lubbock, Texas. Top 6 teams will qualify, and only those 6 teams, so no alternates if a team that ends up qualifying today ultimately cannot compete for whatever reason. And as we continue to wait for the athletes to come back southbound, and it looks like we should start getting some action down in the distance as they start coming down. So we have this lead pack still coming right down. See if we can get an idea on who is exactly in the lead right now. At least just based on colors, it looks like it is a lot of Western and Adams and possibly an Ordigger, as it starts to spread out a little bit as we start to come down to the 2K lap. As we expect athletes to start coming through. And so once we can get a good look at bib numbers, we can give you a good idea on exactly who is in the lead, as this field starts to slowly spread out a little bit here on lap number 1 of 3 at Monument Valley Park. Top 3 teams in the national rankings in this field as we see them start to come down. Looks like that's an Ordigger and a Grizzly there in the top 2 spots. We're going to see as they come through, as they come into the start-finish area right now here at Monument Valley Park. Coming up on the 2K split here. Not sure if we have the 2K times or not. We weren't able to get them for the men's race, but as we start to see them come through right now on the high-def cameras with Media Services. That looks like that is Mines and Adams 1-2, followed by 2 runners from UCCS. As looks like now they have started to bunch up a little bit more. So, but it is Mines, Adams, looks like Western, and Western. If I'm looking at that right, based on the colors, that looks like 4 Mountaineers in the top 6. We'll confirm as they start coming through the 2K split. Actually, I stand correct. It looks like it's 2 from Western, 2 from Metro. As we get the first look at the leaders, that looks like that is Brianna Robo's National Runner at the week, along with Zoe Baker from Colorado School of Mines. Baker taking the lead here in the next at the 2K split. So it is Baker, Robles, and then 2 from Western Colorado, 2 from MSU Denver. And then it looks like it's 2 from UCCS, and then in 9th place is Western Colorado. So right now, early team race looks like it's going to be shaping up between Western and Metro. UCCS, depending on how deep they are able to go, looks like we could see them compete for a conference championship. Important to note, Adams State has won every conference championship since 2012. Last time the Mountain Lions last hosted this race. But right now it's looking like it's a 3A battle with a slight edge to Western Colorado. Go also to MSU Denver, ranked 12th in the national polls. And don't discount UCCS either. As leading at the 2K split was Zoe Baker of Colorado School of Mines, with Brianna Robles right off of her shoulder. Robles, National Athlete of the Week already. 10th at RMAC Championships a year ago for a first team spot. Zoe Baker for Colorado School of Mines. The RMAC Summit Award winner with the top GPA in this championship was 19th at the National Championships a year ago, 9th at this championship last year. As the trail vehicle making its way past the 2K mark as we complete the first of 3 laps here in the women's 6-kilometer championship. Just past the 9-minute mark here at Monument Valley Park, as we see Nadia Kazmark from South Dakota School of Mines. So like I said, we got about a 500 or 600 meter gap in coverage as we will wait for the first group of leaders, or the first group, to make their way into the next camera just north of what's called Boatington Park, a small soccer complex, as part of this larger Monument Valley Park complex that runs up and down from the north end, old north end of Colorado Springs, all the way down. As we see the first runners right there, that looks like that is Mines, Adams, and Metro State in the first 3 spots. If that was indeed the first runner, looks like we got UCCS. As we got our first group coming through, we got the leaders coming through right there. Let's see if we can get a good idea, at least on team standings. Again, working with technology. Let's assume that is, looks like Mines, MSU Denver, and Adams, 1, 2, 3 right there, as we try to get the bunches to see what we can pull in from the north end of the field. As they come across, this is the 1K mark in the north end, so 3 kilometers down. That looks like that is, I believe that's Zoe Baker in the lead right there. As that, like I said, this is halfway up, so the athletes will be coming back down southbound as they come back down. I believe that's Hannah Ellis for UCCS. Another mountain lion going through. Grizzlies as well. Grizzly back once again, as we try to get a good grasp on the initial result for the team scoring, as we are now at the halfway point of this women's 6-kilometer race. 3K down, 3 to go, as they wrap up the upper loop. So 1.5 laps here in Colorado Springs in the women's 6-kilometer championship race for the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. Big thank you to the teams, to the volunteers who are at least making this possible. Doing what we can to get as much coverage of this race as possible. We should hopefully expect to see the next group of runners about halfway down the west side, the southbound side of this course along Monument Creek. And looks like that's the runners, or that lead. We didn't see the lead vehicle or lead cyclist to double check. That looks like that was our lead pack. Looks like they have bunched up quite nicely at about 6 or 7 in that lead pack. We're going to get a much better look as they come across the start-finish line for the 4K split. As athletes continue to make their way southbound here on lap 2 of 3. And here we go, coming into the south end, the start-finish area. Peace to you as well, it looks like. And that looks like that is Zoe Baker, massive lead for the Ore Diggers. We're going to confirm that wasn't sure if that was a 3-digit number or 2-digit number. Zoe Baker wearing bib number 102 coming into the start-finish area. It is a massive lead for our leader, and then the pack of runners about 30 or 40 meters behind. That is Zoe Baker for Colorado School of Mines. We're going to see if we can get a good idea on the next ones coming through. That should be Robles for Adams State, but right now it is Zoe Baker controlling this race for the Ore Diggers. 9th in this race a year ago, 5th at the South Central Region Championships as they come across the 4K split down the south end, as you see him right there. So yes, that is Zoe Baker, a commanding lead for the Ore Diggers. As we cross the 4K mark here at Monument Valley Park. And then we got a massive group. We're going to try to write them down as quickly as we can for you. At least get a good idea of team scores. That is Robles in 2nd. We're trying to see who that is for the Mountaineers in 3rd. And then it is MSU Denver in the 4 and 5 spots. Western Colorado following. So through 7 runners, we're going to see what we can get. We've got UCCS in the 8th spot, followed by Western Colorado in number 9. Black Hills State, top runner in the 10th spot. Black Hills State, Adams, and then in Western again. As they come into this final lap, UCCS. And another UCCS runner as well as we look at this start-finish area. Adams State and then Mines. So definitely a spread out. No team with a large number of athletes in that top group. So it's probably going to come down to your 4 or 5 runners as we get through. So it looks like we're shaping up to have a very tight race as we come across. 1 lap left to go. The lower 2K loop, as we call it here at Monument Valley Park. The massive hills, the hardest part of the course is done in terms of the one big hill on the upper loop. As they come now and start to make their way to the back up to that middle, as we showed earlier, that map, that middle route here at Monument Valley Park. 16 minutes elapsed already here through 4 kilometers in the women's 6-kilometer championship. Zoe Baker, though, as we saw her just a few minutes ago, a commanding lead for the Ore Diggers. And then it's going to be a battle for 2nd in the individual standings from what it looks like. No team with large groups of runners in the first. We had MSU Denver with 2 runners in the top 4, if my notes are correct. Western Colorado had a few in the top as well. As we see the first runners, there's Zoe Baker. Once again, a real good shot of her. A big lead for her as she goes into this last lap. That looks like that is Robles just for what we... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Robles looks like she's dropped into 4th. Couldn't quite see who was in the 2nd and 3rd spots there. As we see, once again, in that lead pack, that is Zoe Baker. We'll see if we can get them to tilt up a little bit. And that looks like it has MSU Denver in second. Couldn't quite make out the number there.
And a reminder to all of our fans and spectators, please keep those facial coverings on as you come back.
But for sure, we've got Zoe Baker in the lead. We've got, looks like that last check, we got Robles from Adams State in fourth. It looks like it was an MSU Denver Roadrunner in second. But we'll see if we can get a good shot here. It doesn't quite look like we have the lead group here. Oh, we do have that lead group. So it looks like Western Colorado, I believe that is Bailey Sharon, just on the quick look at that bib number. As we try to see, again, looks like the second, third, and fourth runner. Oh, no, sorry, this is, I believe, the third group. That was for UCCS, Layla Almasiri leading that group. So right now, we've got Zoe Baker at last check, a clear winner right now. I believe we've got Western Colorado and Metro State and Adams in the second, third, and fourth spots in that order. And then it looks like Almasiri of UCCS in fifth. We don't know for sure. Obviously, we're seeing the same thing you are. As we see these runners looking like they're about, the lead runners should have just passed the 5K mark, and they should start coming down on the southbound side of the Monument Creek side of this course. Or for those of us from Colorado, the side to the mountains, the west side of the course. As we see this lead runner coming down on the southbound side, so they have passed the 5K mark. This should be Zoe Baker once again. And it is. We're going to see if we can get a good look. I believe it was MSU Denver who had the number 2 runner. And it looks like that is Western Colorado. I believe that's Sherry Barron. And then we've got Robles, and then MSU Denver, and then UCCS. MSU Denver once again. So MSU Denver putting in a really good spot with 2 runners there at the leads in the lead group. But again, we haven't really got a good shot. Very spread out among these teams. No teams with a lot of runners in the top pack, as I really saw with the men's race with Colorado School of Mines. As we see once again, Baker. Oh no, I'm sorry, that wasn't Baker. That was, I believe, Sharon for Western Colorado. As looks like we are just about to wrap up this race. This is the last shot from the field before we come back to our HD cameras. That is Baker, a commanding lead for her as she comes down to the start-finish area. Just a few hundred meters left to go as she comes down into the start-finish area. 20 minutes have just elapsed, 20:15 right now on the clock. As we're looking forward to wrapping up this race here, it is going to be Zoe Baker, barring any kind of injury here in the last few minutes, taking the win here for Colorado School of Mines. We'll try to get as much as we can. That is Bailey Sharon and Robles, the second and third. And then Western looks like with 2 runners in the top 4. MSU Denver with 2 runners in the top 5. As Baker coming across the final turn, she is coming into the finishing chute here at Monument Valley Park. Zoe Baker just passing the 21-minute mark. She will be the RMAC champion in the women's cross-country race, as she crosses the finish line in 21:11 for Zoe Baker of Colorado School of Mines. We're going to see who comes in at second and third. It's going to be MSU Denver, 146. We're going to keep numbers first, and then we'll get you results after that. Western Colorado with 2 runners in the top 5. MSU Denver, that is Aaron Norton in second. MSU Denver with another runner in the 6th spot, that is Grudel. Robles in third. Western Colorado with the 4th place runner and the 7th place runner, that is Theros. And first runner for UCCS is across, that's Leda Almasiri. And UCCS, 4, 5, 6. And UCCS, we're going to try to keep as much as we can on the depth here. As runners start to come across. And we've got Colorado School of Mines. I believe that's your second runner and third runner across. Black Hills State, followed by Colorado School of Mines. Colorado Mesa, their first runner across. Western Colorado, then we got MSU Denver. Westminster's first runner, Western Colorado again. UCCS coming as well. See if we can keep track on how many runners for each one as we do this by hand at the score in our production side. Second runner across for Westminster, UCCS again, Adams State back to back here. At the 23-minute mark, a quick between Western Colorado and Mines, and it looks like 2 for Black Hills State. And so let's see if, based on what we've been able to track so far, what we're looking at for an early team result. So UCCS, Western Colorado, MSU Denver, 2 runners in the top 10. Adams State, their second runner coming in at 11th. Western Colorado with a runner at 12th after their third runner. Colorado School of Mines with 3 runners in the top 15 overall. Fourth runner in 16th. As we try to keep track as best as we can. As we continue to go through, Western Colorado, their fourth runner in the top 24 in 24th spot. Mines, their fourth runner in the 16th spot. And it looks like, pending unofficial results, it looks like Mines, just based on where their fifth runner came in, might have won their RMAC championship. Again, unconfirmed. Their fifth runner coming in at, looks like based on my results, the 23 spot. As Western Colorado, the next team, their fifth runner didn't come in until at least unofficially the 29th spot or the 30th spot. So that is definitely something we're going to want to wait for as we pass the 25-minute mark to see exactly who we're looking at for the women's team championship. Again, very spread out. No team with those big bunches at the beginning, as we saw the Colorado School of Mines men do in the first race of the day. So after this race is complete, the last runner finishes, it'll be a 30-minute protest period, and we'll go from there into the award ceremony, which will again be socially distant. The only people allowed near the awards area will be the teams. All spectators will be kept much further back in order to protect the athletes, the coaches, and the spectators all at once. So as we continue to kind of wait for these results to start piling in, it looks like the team standings probably give the edge to Colorado School of Mines, just based on the back of napkin calculations. Western Colorado will be up there. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I skipped Western Colorado. Western Colorado, I'm sorry. Back in napkin calculations, put them in the lead. But it would be close just because the fifth runners from Western Colorado and Colorado School of Mines, based on my chicken scratch, 21 and 23 in the overall standings. So we'll wait to see. But those are the top 2 teams that we're expecting to see. Just looking at it, Western Colorado much higher. Their third runner placing ahead of the second Mines runner, just based on what I was able to write down quickly. But third Mines runner right there, a fourth Mines runner also right there. So it's going to be close. We're going to wait to see what comes through as we await these final runners to come across here in the women's 6-kilometer championship race. Again, just real quick scoring. It looks like on the women's side between Mines and Western. We shall see what we can expect here. Top 6 teams overall will qualify for the Division II Invitational, which will take the place of the NCAA championships this year since the NCAA opted to cancel them. Again, only 7 conferences in Division II opting to compete in cross country this year. Several conferences opting across the country to have no competition whatsoever. RMAC, in order to preserve as much of the competition as possible, kept golf and cross country in the fall. Swimming and diving is already underway for the winter season, and they are still planning on doing as much of the winter sports as they can with indoor track and field, basketball, and wrestling thrown in there as well. As we looks like the last runner is about to come through, which means we should be able to get you an answer on the women's team scoring. I want to thank all of the volunteers on the course who were able to help us get video as best as we could, so we didn't just have to rely on the start-finish line camera. As the final runner from South Dakota School of Mines, Nadia Kazmar, crossing the finish line just under 29 minutes. We're expecting to get women's results fairly quickly, as we expected, and so a 30-minute protest period starts now. We're expecting awards to start at roughly 11:14 a.m. As we'll take a look at the men's results real quick. Again, Colorado School of Mines winning their 2nd straight conference championship right there from our friends at Heartland's timing. In second, Western Colorado, 60 points. This is the men's scores again. Colorado Christian in 3rd, Adams in 4th, Mesa in 5th, and UCCS in 6th. That top 6 qualifying for the Division II Invitational in Lubbock, Texas. 7th, Fort Lewis. 8th, Metro. 9th, Black Hills State. 10th, South Dakota School of Mines. 11th, Westminster, and Chadron State in 12th. We're still awaiting women's team's results. We'll get those to you as quickly as we can. And then we're going to see what we can do and try to talk to the winning coaches of the team as best we can. So as you see, those are the men's individual results from our partners at Heartland Timon. Dylan Coe winning his 2nd straight conference championship at the time of 24 minutes, 18.4 seconds on this 8-kilometer course in Colorado Springs. Isaiah Rodarte of Adams State in 2nd, Kyle Moran in 3rd. As you're looking at those, the top 14 athletes, all conference first team members, and then 15 through 28 will be your second team members. As we take a look there, the first displacer from Colorado School of Mines, Max Sevick. So Colorado School of Mines able to perform very well for their 22 points. As we are looking for the results still of the women's 6K championship race. So as we are continuing to look here at Colorado Springs, congratulations to the Colorado School of Mines men's team. They won the 8K championship, their second straight, third of the last 4 years. As we continue to look for and wait for the women's 6K race, congratulations, Colorado School of Mines winning both of the individual titles, as it's Zoe Baker taking the win for the Ore Diggers on the women's side. And as you can see, continuing to update, see if we got updated results yet from the timing company, and see if we have an answer for who we expect to see as the women's champion. As soon as we do, we'll probably take a little bit of a quick break and get reset, try to find the winning coaches as best we can. Otherwise, we'll continue to give you analysis of the results. We're expecting award ceremony to start in about, at this point, about 27 minutes. We'll bring that to you live here from Colorado Springs. As I take one more look and see, we're still waiting on the women's 6K results right now, as we continue to wait here in Colorado Springs. But a great championship, a great way to at least have some semblance of normalcy during a pandemic. A lot went into making sure that these athletes were as safe as humanly possible. as safe as it can within all the parameters of all these, the challenges that go into hosting a race of this caliber. Big thank you to the spectators who are able to actually, to really, step up as well and to continue to keep that, as much as possible, that safety aspect. As we get a good look here at Monument Valley Park and anxiously awaiting at this point, the women's 6K team scores. The top 4 runners, I believe, all from different schools. No team with any more than 2 runners in the top 10. Multiple teams with 2 runners in the top 10. As we see here, crowds start to disperse a little bit here in Monument Valley Park, as we were able to put together this race. UCCS stepping in order to host on behalf of Colorado School of Mines, who were scheduled to host this race originally. They will host it next year, pending any COVID restrictions. Hopefully by that point, it's a little bit back to normal. So UCCS definitely a few years down from hosting the next round, but able to put this together here in downtown Colorado Springs. As we get a good look here at the start area, as we are anxiously awaiting those results of the women's 6K. Again, back of napkin looking like Western Colorado was the first with 5 runners across, but Colorado School of Mines with their 5th runner only 2 spots back. Enough variability. There's going to be a tight race between those 2 teams. As we continue to look, that is Sarah Wills of Adams State, as you see there in the middle of the screen. And we continue to wait. I want to take this time to thank our wonderful production crew, UCCS Media Services, and their work getting here bright early, or dark and early, as the saying was this morning, to make sure everything was set up and try to bring you as much of this cross-country race as we could. RMAC, historically, one of the top, if not the top, Division II cross-country conference. Just looking at the women's side, there was a long time there from when the RMAC moved from NAIA to Division II that it was either Adams or Western. They were the only 2 teams to win the RMAC, or to win the national championship on the women's side up until a couple of years ago, as there got to be more parity across the nation. As we continue to wait for women's results to be compiled. As you can see, a lot of heavy coats are starting to be shed as the temperatures, again, about 30 degrees, if not a little cooler when we started this race. Definitely a much calmer, or a much more mild 50 degrees or so here in downtown Colorado Springs. So once again, we're kind of just on hold a little bit, waiting for posted results of the women's 6,000 meter run, or 6 kilometer. As we wait for those to be posted, we want to at least get those to you before we try to track down the winning coaches. And we'll see if any of them will end up wanting to talk to us. But again, once again, confirming Colorado School of Mines way into second straight team championship. Third overall. As before that. And as on the women's side, dominated historically by Adams State and Western Colorado. As we continue to continually refresh our screen, see what we can get for the women's 6K results from our partners over at Heartland Timing. Again, a beautiful day to be outside. As we continue to, at least if nothing else, enjoy the beautiful weather down here. We are it does seem to be taking longer in order to compile these women's results than we did on the men's side. As we continue to wait and see what the final team standings are. As we look down there, Monument Creek down in the background, and the trail system here down in downtown Colorado Springs. And in the distance there, Cheyenne Mountain, home to the NORAD bunker down in the distance. And a beautiful shot there, Pikes Peak, America's Mountain as they call it. And like I said, if nothing else, a beautiful day to be outside. A little chilly to start with, but it's going to be a great day for anyone to enjoy the weather, especially considering what the forecast holds, which is about 3 to 6 inches, as we see UCCS there getting some cool down laps here down at Monument Valley Park. And again, I want to thank the terrific team at Media Services from University of Colorado Springs, as they've been able to at least indulge me in as we wait for these team results to come in. Race wrapped up 12 minutes ago when the final runner crossed. And for the half-hour protest period, that would mean about 18 minutes before the start of the awards portion of this ceremony. So as we see here in the start area right now, and as we see, but we're pulling up the map once again just to kind of give you an idea of what these athletes just went through. Alternating between the lower and upper loop. Lower loop was the first one. That lower loop, that red upbound, the middle line, as part of the first K, about 1K up, 1K back here at Monument Valley Park. And then the purple loop on the, or at least the purple on the left side, that second 1K loop, or the second 1K portion of the 2K loops. The start of that blue, which is the upper 2K loop, definitely a legitimate cross-country hill right there as they climb to get that elevation. You got Boatington Park there, a beautiful park. A little bit of history of the Monument Valley Park that at one point was part of the canal system for Colorado Springs. And that was a small pond. And then there was a canal that had a waterfall that actually is part of the lower loop features. We weren't able to get any shots of that just because we didn't have enough bodies and able to pull it together. But that's a definitely a unique part. They've since drained that. Boddington Park is now just a nice intramural or kind of a nice rec soccer field in the middle of the Colorado Springs. And on the west side, as you see the recreation way, that is Monument Creek. Or Fountain Creek, I apologize. As it takes you, going south, takes you into downtown Colorado Springs. This trail system would take you right next to the new U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum that just opened this summer, part of the City for Champions project in Colorado Springs. As we continue to wait for the women's 6K results to come through, as the RMAC gets set up for awards. Once again, top 28 athletes named to the all-conference teams, top 14 on the first team, the next 14 on the second team. As you see there, starting to clear out a little bit as teams, especially probably for some of the further teams, start to at least prepare to make their journeys back home. As we patiently wait for the 6K results. So we're at 11:01. We're expecting the award ceremony to start in roughly 13 minutes. Again, assuming that the protest period started 30 minutes after the final runner crossed on the men's side. We're seeing a little bit of a change right now in the online results that we're pulling in from, as we have lost the team scoring on the men's side. We do know who they are, but and we do have women's 6K results. RMAC champions, Western Colorado with 44 points. In second place, Colorado School of Mines, 63 points. So Western Colorado winning their 8th conference championship, first since 2011. In third place, MSU Denver, 87 points. Fourth, Adams State, 92 points. In fifth, University of Colorado Springs, 98 points. And in sixth, Westminster. So that is your top 6, as we see them on the screen right now. Your top 6 going to the NCAA Division II Invitational. Again, unofficial results. It says final up there, but we're waiting for unofficial results for the protest period to resume. But congratulations, the Mountaineers of Western Colorado, picking up their 8th conference championship, their first since 2011. Congratulations to Jen Michael and the Mountaineers for being able to pick that up and take a trophy back to Gunnison. Colorado School of Mines in second. So we were expecting just based on the national results, coming into this race, it was Colorado School of Mines and the #1 spot in the national rankings. Number 2 is Adams State. Number 3, Western Colorado. So a little bit of a check up there. MSU Denver, very strong performance coming into this, ranked 12th in the nation at number 12. Adams State in 4th. Again, as we are looking to see as much as we can, but congratulations to Western Colorado. Again, but just based on the top of the napkin, you know, we're looking at Western Colorado, Colorado School of Mines. Obviously took it a winner in Zoe Baker, but their second runner coming in after the 4th place runner for Western Colorado, which is where the Mountaineers were able to pull that in. Zoe Baker, the individual champion, time of 21 minutes, 11.5 seconds. Number 2 from MSU Denver, Erin Norton, very good race for her for the Roadrunners. And number 3, Brianna Robles, Adams State University. The National Athlete of the Week, the sophomore for the Grizzlies, as we see the individual results right there. It looks like Freshman of the Year, if we keep going down, that's going to be Brooke Sadith of Western Colorado. Just looking at the results right there as we scroll down to the men's results. Dylan Coe winning his second individual conference championship. Freshman of the Year looks like it's going to go to Loic. It's comparing from Colorado School of Mines. So Mines once again taking the overall winner in the Freshman of the Year for the second straight year on the men's side, as it will be the Ore Diggers on the men's side taking up their second straight conference championship. Western Colorado on the women's side getting their first championship since 2011. As we get ready to present the awards here, we're looking at about 10 more minutes here at Monument Valley Park. So we're going to take a little bit of a quick break, if I can indulge a little bit for a little bit of a break with our media services crew. We're going to get set up a little bit to be able to take you to the award ceremony right here at Monument Valley Park. Again, on the men's side, congratulations to Colorado School of Mines. On the women's side, congratulations to Western Colorado. We'll be right back momentarily. And welcome back to Colorado Springs. 2 great races in the books here for the 2020 RMAC Cross Country Championships. Congratulations once again, Colorado School of Mines men picking up their 2nd straight conference championship behind the individual conference championship winning performance by Dylan Coe. On the women's side, congratulations, Western Colorado picking up its 8th overall conference championship and the first since 2011. And with Colorado School of Mines, Zoe Baker taking the individual championship. We got a few minutes before we get ready to go, and we're going to do the individual or the all RMAC presentations as well as the presentations of the team trophy. But before we get too far along, I do want to make sure we send a big thank you. We've got a terrific crew here from Media Services. I want to thank all the people out in the field who were able to get us video as best we could in this environment. It was definitely a first for Media Services, for the UCCS Media Services team, and congratulations to them on doing such a fantastic job and bringing this one of the top cross country races of the year to fans from across the state, and for those who further along across the nation as well. We're waiting for the start of the conference awards. With first and second team, first 14 finishers winning first team winner honors, and then the 15th through 28th spot taking second team honors. The ceremony is going to look a lot different. A lot of times you will see that big group of runners. They're only going to do about 7 at a time. So you're going to have 22 through 28 in one group, and then they're continuing to go up to present the all-conference award ceremony. As we wait, the ceremony area is ready to go. We still got probably a couple minutes before the protest period officially ends and when we can start officially handing out hardware here in Colorado Springs. Top 6 teams, once again, will receive an invitation to the Division II National Invite in Lubbock, Texas. And clarifying, those are the only 6 teams that will receive an invitation. If one of those teams drops out for any reason, the number 7 team will not ultimately go. Typically we'll see the Coach of the Year and other yearly awards announced today. Those will be announced and completed online. A little bit different. Part of that as part of the pandemic response and not wanting to create any additional paperwork, not create any additional touch points for the people who are working this event here today. We are still waiting. We still got a couple minutes left. You can probably hear Lauren Ahun, the course announcer in the background, getting everyone ready to go for the award ceremony here in Monument Valley Park. I'm looking just over to our side is where the award ceremony will end up being as we get ready here for the conclusion of a great day. As you can see, the gloves, the hats, the coats have come off here. It's turning into a fantastic day with frisbees out and people just enjoying the weather and just realizing the amount of work to pull off a championship event like this in a global pandemic. We're still waiting as the teams get set and put together for the presentation of the awards here in Colorado Springs. Once again, women's team title won by Western Colorado, men's team title won by Colorado School of Mines. As we are looking, we did find the answer of why it took so long to get the results. Turns out the generator died. So, as the best laid plans, no matter what, you're going to have some things go wrong. But great work by Heartland Timing to be able to get the results as they did. As we expected, a little bit of a close race on the women's side. As we await the all-conference, we'll see the Summit Award winners being presented. That was Zoe Baker for Colorado School of Mines and Ian Kropp from Colorado Mesa. As we've got just a few minutes, but we're expecting to get underway here momentarily with the award ceremony. Again, a little bit different from years past. It will be presented in groups of 7 in order to preserve social distancing. But a big thank you, and there's Commissioner Chris Graham. We were able to talk to him earlier today about the procedures being put into place for this COVID operations. And as you can see in the background right there, the scores, the times flashing through once again. Now that the generator is back up and running. Cross country, probably one of the more difficult of these sports to broadcast, especially considering usually the location is completely out in the open. So as we continue to wait here for the awards presentation, everyone is making their way over to the makeshift area. You see the time scrolling through as well. That looks like that's on the men's side, just based on the last names we can see so far. And those are the times on the women's side. As we continue to scroll through 8 at a time. Teams are starting to make their way in. Looks like that's what we're waiting on in order to get this award ceremony going. See the Roadrunners of MSU Denver starting to get into the award ceremony. And behind them, lots of red. Looks like it's still the Roadrunners and their contingent making their way as well. As we see the men's times there, and now we'll go back over to the award stand area as teams from the camp start to make their way over into the awards section. Awards will have a nice frame with Pikes Peak in the background. As teams continue to move over into the award ceremony, as the Western Colorado men's team, Westminster College men's team, make their way over into the awards. We have in the background Pikes Peak. A little bit hazy, but it doesn't look like that's from the wildfire smoke from the north. That's staying clear of Colorado Springs for the moment. As the Cameron Peak and East Troublesome Fire definitely taxing state resources to the north. Looking forward to some moisture tomorrow. It'll be cold, but it'll be much needed, not just here, but for the firefighters up north.
All right, fans, at this time, the RMAC would like to
And we are ready
Summit Award winners for cross
to begin here. That sounds like we're going to be starting with the RMAC Summit Award winners. These are the awards they started a couple years ago to recognize those athletes with the top overall grade point average coming into the conference championship. So on the men's side, it is Ian Kropp from Colorado Mesa University. Kropp ended up finishing 79th today, the sophomore, in a time of 28 minutes, 10.3 seconds. Do not know if he is here trying to get a shot as best as we can over to the awards area. But congratulations to Ian Kropp from Colorado Mesa University, the men's RMAC Summit Award winner. And so Zoe Baker, she's going to be collecting quite a bit of hardware. The individual conference champion, also the RMAC Summit Award winner with the top GPA from Colorado School of Mines. She won by nearly 8-second gap with a time of 21 minutes, 11 and a half seconds. But congratulations, Zoe Baker. This will not be the last time we see her at the awards area, as she'll be up later as the RMAC individual champion for the Ore Diggers.
Congratulations, Zoe.
And yes, congratulations, Zoe Baker, as the RMAC Summit Award winner.
And folks, you're going to want to please keep your attention on the awards area as RMAC Commissioner Chris Graham presents the RMAC Cross Country Awards. First, we're
So
gonna
now
start
we are
with
ready
the
to go.
All conference honorees, and this is a reminder, athletes, we're going to bring you all up 28 down. So please be ready to roll and jump up and receive your medal from Commissioner Graham.
So we are listening as well. Course announcer Lauren Offman, as we do the all RMAC awards. First for the men's team. So we will start, as he said, 28 and up. So we'll do 7 at a time. So 28th spot is Jonas Heil from Adams State, a freshman. He finished in 25 minutes, 47.7 seconds. In 27th, Riley Howard, a senior for the Mountaineers, 25 minutes, 44.1. In 26, Stephen Nez, the senior from Fort Lewis College, in 26 minutes, 41 and a half seconds. In 25th, Matt Schramm, a junior from UCCS, in 25 minutes, 41 and a half seconds. 24th, Miguel Coca, a junior from Adams State University, 25 minutes, 39 seconds. 23rd, Alexander Vence, a freshman from Colorado Christian, in 25 minutes, 36.9 seconds. 22nd, Ryan Outler, a sophomore from Western Colorado, 25 minutes, 35.8 seconds. So that's the second half of the second team all-conference award winners, 22nd through 28 spots, as they get their awards, as you can see right there at the makeshift platform area on the west side of the start line. Again, in order, 22nd through 28, Outler, Vance, Coca, Schramm, Nez, Howard, and Haley. First half of the second team all-conference award winners from the men's 8-kilometer race from earlier today, as we wait for athletes to slowly make their way up to the platform. And finishing up, so we're going to go through the next half of the second team all-conference honors. We're going to go down from top. So in 21st place from Colorado Mesa, Jared Kuhn, the junior, finished in 25 minutes, 30.9 seconds. In 20th, Cade Michael, a junior from Western Colorado, finishing in 25 minutes, 30.1 seconds. In 19th, Mark Testa, a junior from Colorado Mesa University, 25 minutes, 29.7 seconds. In 18th, Tony Torres, a junior for the Mavericks, 25 minutes, 20.9 seconds. In 17th, Trent Cochran, a sophomore from Colorado Christian University, 25 minutes, 19 seconds even. In 16th, Simon Kaladi, a freshman for Mountaineers, 25 minutes, 16.3 seconds. And 15th, Evan Sutherland, senior from Western Colorado, 25 minutes, 16.3 seconds. And in 14th, Devontae Jet Reynolds, a junior from Adams State, 25 minutes, 14.8 seconds. This is the top half of the second team all-conference award winners. Your 15th through 21st spots. I went a little step too far doing Devontae Jet Reynolds. He will be a first-team selection. He will be in this next group of athletes that are called up to the platform area. For complete results as well as the photos from each of these, RMACsports.org will have all these materials for anyone to use as they see fit. As we go into the first team selections now, the second half of those, these are the 8th through 14th place finishers. In 14th, as we already kind of mentioned accidentally, Devontae Jet Reynolds, a junior from Adams State University, 25 minutes, 14.8 seconds. In 13th, Max Sevkic, a junior from Colorado School of Mines, 25 minutes, 13.3 seconds. In 12th, Bo Radom, a sophomore from Colorado School of Mines, 25 minutes, 1.4 seconds. In 11th, Ryder Searle, a senior from Colorado Christian, the next athlete under the 25-minute mark, 24 minutes, 43.4 seconds. In 10th, Dylan Powell, a freshman from Colorado School of Mines, 24 minutes, 42.6 seconds. In 9th, a junior from Colorado Christian, Josh Parentoni, 24 minutes, 41.5 seconds. And rounding out the second half of the first team conference finishers, finishing in 8th, Luke Julian, a sophomore for the Ore Diggers, 24 minutes, 40.4 seconds. So these are your 8th through 14th place finishers. Your second half of the first team all-conference selections in the men's 8-kilometer race from earlier today. As we see there, the 8th through 14th place finishers smiling for the photo. From their angle, should be a pretty good scenic shot of the Pikes Peak in the background. Probably wouldn't be too surprised to see one of these athletes competing in the Pikes Peak Ascent Marathon in the future. As we finish out the top finishers, this is the top half of the first team all-conference selections. In 7th, Taylor Stacked, a senior from Western Colorado University, 24 minutes, 35.8 seconds. In 6th, Loix Gamparin, a freshman from Colorado School of Mines, 24 minutes, 32.4 seconds. Top freshman in the field, he should be named as freshman of the year. In 6th, Charlie Sweeney, a junior from Western Colorado, 24 minutes, 30.5 seconds. In 4th, Chris Cathcart, a sophomore from Colorado School of Mines, 24 minutes, 27.9 seconds. In 3rd, a sophomore from Colorado School of Mines, 24 minutes, 23.3 seconds. And the runner-up, Isaiah Duarte, junior for the Grizzlies of Adams State, 24 minutes, 22.1 seconds. And the individual champion for the second straight year, Dylan Coe, a junior from Colorado School of Mines, 24 minutes, 18.4 seconds, winning by nearly 4 seconds in this field. As we see the athletes get themselves situated there. These are your top 7 finishers for the 2020 Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Men's Cross Country Championships. Definitely a unique year, but one that I think these athletes, we heard Commissioner Grant talk about the mental health. These athletes, this is a big part of who they are. And so being able to still compete, even though it was under different circumstances, a lot of smiles up there. The top 7 finishers on the men's cross-country championships. And so we will see what is next.
We will now move on to the 2020 RMAC Men's Freshman of the Year. We're not going to have to go far for
so as you can hear, the next race, the next award winner up will be the Freshman of the Year. We mentioned him. He's the number 6 place finisher overall, top freshman finisher. Loix Gamparin of Colorado School of Mines, 24 minutes, 32.4 seconds. Second straight year, the Ore Diggers have claimed the Freshman of the Year.
And folks, here by graces of his championship finish, the 2020 RMAC Men's Runner
And
of the Year.
as the runner of the year for the second straight year, Dylan Coe, 24 minutes, 18.4 seconds as the individual conference champion. We'll see. The last men's award will be the team championship. We'll see if they jump into that or if they go into the women's awards and wait for the team awards until the end. As you see, Dylan Coe smiling ear to ear.
And now that we've got 2 of them, we'll bring up the rest of the squad.
So we will be recognizing the team award for the second straight year at Colorado School of Mines.
On the board, the Orediggers from Colorado School of Mines.
The second straight year, the top-ranked team in the nation right now, winning their second straight, 3rd overall RMAC Men's Championship. Again, a different presentation than what we're used to, or to minimize contact as much as possible. You see the championship banner being unfurled there, at least we can see the top of it. The first RMAC championship to be awarded in the 2020-2021 academic year. And just one of 2 that will be awarded in the calendar 2020 year. Everything else, after the women's one in a few minutes, will be awarded next spring. As we see there, congratulations to Colorado School of Mines head coach Chris Seamers picking it up for the Orediggers. Had not won a conference championship in men's cross country since 2017, but since then they've won 3 of the last 4. And won last year's national championship. They'll be going down to Lubbock, Texas. Won't be the official NCAA hardware, but it will be as close to a national championship experience as possible. Great course at Lubbock, Texas. As we now transition to the women's all-conference award winners, same process as the men. We'll do 28 through 22. We're split up the second team into 2 different groups. And so 28th spot, a senior from Adams State University, Sarah Wills, coming in at a time of 23 minutes, 0.7 seconds. And 27th, Rena Paredes, a freshman from Adams State University, 22 minutes, 58.7 seconds. And 26th, Molly Weir, junior from UCCS in Colorado Springs, 22 minutes, 57.3 seconds. And 25th, Sadie Anderson, a sophomore from Westminster in Utah, 22 minutes, 56.3 seconds. And 24th, Morgan Hikes, a freshman from Adams State University, 22 minutes, 53.5 seconds. And 23rd, McKenna Kemp, a junior from MSU Denver, 22 minutes, 51.6 seconds. And in 26th, Peyton Solheim, freshman from Colorado School of Mines, 22 minutes, 49.3 seconds. So these are your second half of the second team all-conference award winners, 22nd through 28th in the overall standings. As we see there, the 22nd through 28th award winners right there. One half of the second team all-conference selections here at the 2020 RMAC Championships. As they jump down from the small retaining wall. I believe that is Sadie Anderson from Westminster. Definitely excited for her. Second half of the second team all-conference selections. These are your 24th through 15th selections. So in 21st, Riley McGrath, a sophomore from UCCS, time of 22 minutes, 41.7 seconds on the 6K course. And 20th, Brooke Sathythe, a freshman from Western Colorado, 22 minutes, 39.4 seconds. And 19th, Hannah Rower Fitzhugh, a junior from Westminster, 22 minutes, 38.1 seconds. And 18th, Stephanie Carusco, sophomore from MSU Denver, 22 minutes, 37.7 seconds. Finishing in 17th, Hannah Mae Gigstad, a sophomore from Western Colorado, 22 minutes, 34.6 seconds for the Mountaineers. And 16th, Kira McGill, a freshman from Colorado Mesa University, 22 minutes, 34.0 seconds. She's a top freshman. We'll probably see her up later as the freshman of the year. And 15th, Morgan Molesworth, junior from Colorado School of Mines, 22 minutes, 30.4 seconds. So as we see right there, the athletes able to take off their face coverings just for this photo. But these are your top half of the second team all-conference selections for the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. After this, again, just like we did with the men's team, this will be the second half. The next group up will be the second half of the first team all-conference selections. As this group jumps off, we're going to go through then the 14th through 8th place finishers, again, making this up for COVID reasons. And 14th, Ziramara Robinson, a junior from Black Hills State University, 22 minutes, 28.3 seconds. And 13th, Heather Kearney, sophomore from Colorado School of Mines, 22 minutes, 27.6 seconds. In 12th, Melina Ensley, a sophomore from Colorado School of Mines, 22 minutes, 24 seconds even. In 11th, Melindy Congor, a senior from Western Colorado, 22 minutes, 14 seconds even. In 10th, Nicole Lawrence, a sophomore from Adams State University, 22 minutes, 5 seconds even. In 9th, from UCCS, Hannah Ellis, a junior from UCCS, 22 minutes, 4 seconds even. And the top finisher for UCCS. In 8th, Layla Almasiri, a junior, 21 minutes, 58.3 seconds. Those are your 8th through 14th place finishers. The second half of the first team all RMAC selections here at the 2020 championships. You see that back row standing up on that very small retaining wall here in Monument Valley Park. These are your 8th through 14th place finishers. Next group up are your top 7, and after that, freshman of the year, runner of the year, and the presentation of the team trophy to Western Colorado. Looks like this group is finished with the photos, so we'll go into the top 7 finishers for the women's cross-country championships. 7th place. This is, again, the top half of the first team all-conference selections. Alexia Theros, a senior from Western Colorado, 21 minutes, 50.2 seconds. In 6th, Alden Grudel, senior from MSU Denver, 21 minutes, 35.7 seconds. In 5th, Katie Duchette, a sophomore from Western Colorado, 21 minutes, 26.3 seconds. And 4th, Bailey Sharon, a senior from Western Colorado, 21 minutes, 21.5 seconds. In 3rd, Brianna Robles, a sophomore from Adams State University, 21 minutes, 20.1 seconds. The runner-up, Aaron Norton, a senior from MSU Denver, 21 minutes, 19.2 seconds. And the individual conference champion, Zoe Baker, Colorado School of Mines, a junior, finishing the 6K course, 21 minutes, 11.5 seconds. We saw her earlier today as the RMAC Summit Award winner for having the top GPA. So not only does she have the top GPA, she also has a top time for this women's 6K race. Congratulations to Zoe Baker and all these top 7 finishers for finishing this great race today here in Colorado Springs. First half of the first team all RMAC selections.
Again, that is your first team all RMAC performers on the women's side. Your top 14 finishers, we saw them in 2 batches. That last batch,
and you see that flowing hair, Aaron Norton, she looks like she's definitely having a good time from MSU Denver right there in the middle. And congratulations to these top 7 finishers here in the 2020 RMAC Women's Cross Country Championships. Next one up should be freshman of the year. I believe it's Kira McGill, and we just heard that come through. Colorado Mesa University, and top time with 22 minutes, 34 seconds. Looks like was looking at the results, top finisher for the Mavericks. Promising future for her for Colorado Mesa University. Great work for her as she takes a photo with Commissioner Chris Graham right there. Great race for her. And now the runner of the year, Zoe Baker, once again coming up, winning by nearly 8 seconds margin. Zoe Baker, the junior from Colorado School of Mines, finishing this 6K course once again, 21 minutes, 11 and a half seconds. And so Zoe Baker, congratulations to her. Going home with quite a bit of hardware. And so now it's time to recognize the team champions. Congratulations to the Mountaineers of Western Colorado University. 44 points for them. They're going back to Gunnison with their first women's team championship plaque in 9 years. Led by Bailey Sharon, 4th place finisher overall. Katie Duchette, 5th for Western Colorado, and 7th, Alexia Theros, number 3 finisher, and number 4 finisher, 11th overall, Melindy Kongor, and the final scoring runner for the Mountaineers, Hannah Mae Gilgstad, who finished 17th overall. So congratulations to the Mountaineers of Western Colorado. Well earned and well deserved for them. And as we're doing that, let's go and give you a summary of the team standings. Most importantly, the top 6 finishers. These are the teams that have earned an automatic spot into the Division II Invitational in a couple weeks in Lubbock. On the women's side, we see Western Colorado right there. Joining them in Texas will be Colorado School of Mines, MSU Denver, Adams State University, UCCS, and Westminster College. On the men's side, qualifying for the 6th with the top 6 times, or the top 6 team scores. Obviously, the conference champion, Colorado School of Mines. The runner-up, Western Colorado. Number 3 team, Colorado Christian University. Number 4 team, Adams State University. And 5th, Colorado Mesa University. And 6th, UCCS. Those are your top 6 team scores on the men's side, and those will be the teams that will be competing in a couple weeks in Lubbock, Texas, again, pending any decisions on COVID. It's been a fun race for sure. I appreciate everyone for tuning in for this race. Appreciate everyone for tuning into this race. I want to again thank the fantastic crew at UCCS Media Services for being able to put a list together. It's been a very busy semester with a lot more virtual events than anyone has anticipated, but they were able to come out early on a Saturday morning, put this all together, and make this a great race. I want to congratulate the teams for being able to keep the safety procedures in place. Thank you to the RMAC for being able to facilitate this event for these athletes, these coaches, these families, these spectators. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a lovely day here in Colorado Springs. Thank you so much. Again, thank you to our crew, and goodbye from Colorado Springs.